that goes. But you know, see how it lands on your side and
Yep.
see what comes up.
It's good. So we were talking at the beginning about like uncovering your nature, right? And not going against it. And you and I had basically two different concepts that we kind of uncovered within the last 2 months that we feel like has really helped us both.
Well, you see, the irony in it is mine wasn't uncovered. Mine was forgotten. You know, it's kind of anyone who knows me knows that I live by a mantra of go big or go home, all in or all out. Don't waste my time. You know, but what that requires is it gives you the ability to bring all your energy into something, knowing that when you switch off, you're also switching off and letting go. And I think that over this year and like the whole of April was, it probably took me 3 weeks at least to quieten the brain, because there was just so much running, so much that hadn't been processed in this constant. And like sort of, and so really, you know, as we were saying, it would like the path that I'd chosen, the path that I'd mapped out for myself, went against my nature. And so no wonder my brain was being shutting down and I've been feeling fatigued. And it really disturbs me when I can't bring myself fully to something. It really disturbs me because I feel that that's a disrespect to the person you're working with, communicating with. And I was finding that as we went further and further into the year, like as much as each person that I'm talking to, I'm interested in and I want to help, I was finding it harder and harder. My motivation was less and less. And that was frustrating because that didn't make sense to me.
This is during those interviews we were doing.
Yeah. And so all, and the podcasts, and you know, they're fun, they're good. But if you feel you can't consistently bring the best of you to something's wrong. And so the realization was that I've created a setup that goes against my nature. So therefore, it's not feeding. I've created a conflict. And so it's like I like the highs are high, the lows are low. That's kind of the mantra of the go big or go home mentality. And it's knowing that when you switch on, you bring it all. And what's interesting is one of my old clients, old Vladimir Klitschko, who was the heavyweight boxing champion for 12 odd years, he understood this fully because he also understands his system also works like this. So before he had a big fight, about 6 to 8 weeks before, he would start training. He'd pick up his boxing gloves and start training. And he would go hard, have the fight. And then once the fight was done, he'd put down his gloves. He wasn't in the gym next day. He was actually going kite surfing. He was going and playing golf. And I was like, well, that's interesting. What's that about? He said, in the fight, I know I can give 120% because tomorrow I'm not doing anything more with this until my next scheduled fight. And I was like, holy crap, that's really interesting. I understood it because that would have been my strategy too. But every single fighter he was up against, they were already in the gym the next day. They were already back training. And so they had a consistency, and your consistency could be the thing that gives you strength. But in his case, and in my case, it's not the consistency. It's the total dip into nothing, and then poof, bring a whole lot. Poof, into nothing, bring a whole lot. And and that serves my nature, served his nature, you know, so world champ for about 12 years. And your strategy is only as good as it works, obviously. So that's why 12 years. But 12 years is not bad. I think it was 12 years. That could be.
The beautiful thing about this is that you said at the beginning of our call was that not everybody is like that, which is great, which is how the world turns, right? If we had everybody that did this, we would collapse, right? But there are people that know their nature and succeed by doing this and help everybody. And there are people that need consistency, need that constant. And that's what I found for me.
So now reflect your story. Reflect what you shared with me.
So I thought I was the same as you. Like for all of my life, I take on a project and I would work as hard as I could to finish it, to be done, and then to relax. And I thought that's what I liked and what I needed. But I found over the last 2 months that for me, that caused a conflict. And I couldn't understand why. And it was because the days that I had thought that it was time for me to stop, rest, recover, those were my worst days. Those were my worst days because I couldn't stop and relax. And when I was stopped and relaxed, I was worried about what I'm going to do next, or why am I not doing something? And I couldn't get a handle on this because it was like, this was supposed to be the best day. We were supposed to celebrate, finishing this accomplishment, and then and relaxing and getting ready for the next one, preparing for the next one. But that didn't work for me. And what I decided to do was, we'll use exercise as an example, but my work or my family life or whatever else falls into this exact same pattern. It was, I would exercise for 5 days and then I would want to take the weekends off to recover my body, because that's what I thought I heard was the best way. But the weekends were unorganized, unstructured, caused a lot of anxiety. I was always thinking about what I was missing or what I should be doing. So what I did was I started exercising on those days. And we're not talking about overtraining where I'm training 7 days a week and going to complete exhaustion and fatigue, but it was scheduled, programmed exercise, 60 to 90 minutes. And I felt great. And the rest of the day was also organized and scheduled, whether it was projects around the house or spending time with my family or jumping into work and doing some emails. And every day was filled with activity. And honestly, like the last 2 months have been so productive. The results have been incredible. I feel better. And that was me finally coming to grips with my nature, which was, you need to be consistent all the time. You can't shut it down completely. And when I was able to do this, the time that I did have to rest, I wasn't constantly thinking about all the shit I had to do. I was calm and relaxed, and everything was planned and organized, and I felt great. And
because you'd already cleared your list. Yeah.
Yes, I cleared my list, and I knew what I had to do the next day, and I was able to enjoy the downtime that I had. So, and I think that it's very challenging for people to figure out what their nature is until they find that point of conflict, right? So,
well, but Tim, what's interesting? So when we're talking about that, and you're saying, so I'm thinking about how people eat. Okay, so eating is an interesting thing because there's all this, oh, you should eat like this or you should eat like this. So what I heard you say for your pattern, and you correct me, give me your feedback, is little and often works really well for you as an eating style. So when someone says, go and do intermittent fasting, go and take long breaks of not eating, and then you can eat a whole lot of about in this period and then stop eating. Okay, you like the little and often.
That's right. And it has to be organized and trained. I've tried intermittent fasting.
I know I'm back to my nature. Yeah. So
I've tried intermittent fasting. I can't do it. I cannot do intermittent fasting for the life of me. I've tried.
Of course you can't, because it doesn't suit your nature. So when someone goes, this is the right way. Yeah, sure. And this is such an important conversation, because the day I was rearranging my office space, I got to about 5:30 in the evening. And I said to Amy, sure, it's actually quite hungry today. And she goes, cool, well, what have you eaten so far? And I was like, oh, I haven't eaten yet. Because and that is my nature. Now, sometimes I'll have something in the morning, but seldom. But usually my nature is I'll eat at 2 or 3 or 4 naturally. That's how it works. I don't do any, scheduled. What's scheduled? And the interesting thing with teaching is I realized that when I go and teach, I actually have breakfast and I have lunch and I have a dinner. And you know what it does? It slows me down. And maybe that makes me more manageable and more bearable. Because when I have, and usually it's in Denmark, and I think it was in Denmark the last time I did this, I actually said, guys, good luck. I haven't had breakfast. And we ended up doing lunch at about 2 o'clock. But because that fitted my system's nature, not everybody else's, some people, yes, but most people no, I could bring more energy, more, and then I needed a little bit of fueling, and then poof, let's keep going. And it's kind of, I've never thought about how that ties in with nature. I was just thinking about how you fuel your body, what my body's used to. No, it's your nature. Well, if your nature says, I have this as a pattern. It's not right and it's not wrong. There's no, and it doesn't mean it's never going to change. I think that's also important. But I've got to say that mine's pretty damn consistent. You know, I went, I'm off dairy, not completely. I have a bit of cheese and butter, but I'm not having any milk products in my tea and coffee and stuff. So I'm getting this really, really nice oat milk. But I go to a place, and today when I went to go and pick up my bottles of oat milk that are locally made and all really nice, up there is a bottle of Patron tequila. And like, I was just like, oh, and I could almost feel myself drooling. And I could almost see the guy who'd just given me the oat milk almost looking at me going, that's kind of a weird combination. You're talking about this healthy oat milk that you're coming all the way to us to get. And yet you're looking up at that tequila bottle up there as though it's that important. You know, it's as significant. It is that significant because even in proper tequila drinkers, no, that's a terrible statement. But yes, proper tequila, real tequila drinkers also know it's a go big or go home drink. You're either in or you're out. But tequila is not a half and half. And even that, in my history, I don't drink a lot of tequila anymore. I'm not sure why, but I don't. But maybe I'm out of my nature. Maybe I should be drinking more tequila.
That's right. That's your drink.
Well,
think about this too, Doug. Think about this. We get upset or frustrated with people that we work with when they don't work the way that we do, right? So if I can identify your nature as a go big or go home kind of guy, I know how to work with you best, right? And if you know that I'm a steady Eddie, kind of need to be consistent all day long, you know how I work best. So if I'm not going big in certain times, there's no reason for you to get upset or frustrated with me. It's just you know how to work with me, and I know how to work with you. So it keeps us working together, and this is for everybody.
And that's any relationship.
That's right? Any relationship, right?
And that can also be the relationship you have with your client. Because if you have one style, good luck. Because what it means is everyone that has your nature will resonate completely. They're so easy to get them to do stuff. Why? Because they're like, yes, everything is yes. God, I sound like Tony Robbins now. Yes. But someone who's different to your nature is either going, what? Or like if you use the steady Eddie and you're going, and we need to tick all the boxes, and you're someone who's not, I'm bored out of my bracket. It's like, hurry the hell up. Tell me what I've got to do. I want to go punch through it, break through it, get it done, because I want to get to the other side. Someone goes, I know that these steps are going to take me there. I don't care about the damn steps. I know how to put that into a system. And you know, when we teach and when we work, we've got to be able to alter our language and our style and our presentation to match the different natures of people, which is why we want stories, because people's stories help us identify where we meet them at. Yes. And you know, I've never used the word nature before because it's almost been obvious, but can't be that obvious because I forgot. You know, it's kind of, I forgot who I was. And so when you know what you are, you can do better to serve yourself with things like that. You know, it's yeah. So it's kind of like if we need to go jump off a mountain, let's say we go skydiving, no, not skydiving, parasailing. And if you come to me in Cape Town and say, hey, let's go parasailing. I've never done it. You've never done it. Let's go do it. You go, holy shit, dude, are you mad? But if I said, hey, Tim, so when you come in 4 weeks' time, on day 2, if the wind is right, we're going to go jump off Signal Hill and we're going to do some parasailing. Your whole system's got time to prepare and adjust. And then it's not this huge spike.
Yes.
Whereas, like, you know, I'd be the one who'd be going up onto the mountain to take a look at them doing it and then say to the guy, hey, I've never done this before. Do you have a space to do it now?
See, this is great because this is how, so my youngest son is autistic, okay? And because we are very interested in making sure that he is able to handle certain situations, really, you know, it's more for us, you know, to be able to understand how he operates. We've taken time to learn so much about how to make our lives easier through doing things that work within his nature, right? And this is the best part. So we understand how he operates and how he likes certain routines and what he likes and what he doesn't like. And we always try to challenge him a little bit more and more every time. But what is the most fascinating part about it is the techniques that we've used to understand his nature have made us more effective when working with our oldest son, who is neurotypical, right? And we know his nature so much better and now how he operates because we were forced to do this with our youngest son. And it also helps us to identify and how everyone else's nature is. And what's also interesting is people's natures change depending on what identity they're in, right? So if they're in their family identity or their work identity or their, I don't know, whatever else identity, you know, they may be a gas and stop kind of person, and then they may be a steady person. And it's, I've found that, you know, with working with
I would have to say that your nature is your nature, and you may change how much you express it in each environment, but it doesn't change.
I'd agree.
But it doesn't change.
I'd agree.
So you will adjust that, and certain environments, you know, it's what we always say: what's in one place is in every place. And so this is definitely one of those things. And you know, it's probably why the whole Be Activated got developed in the first place, because I want quick, powerful results, high, like, you know, the high hits, the big hit, and I want you gone because I don't want to see you over and over and over. You know, there's a limited period.
What's crazy is I activate myself
at something totally different.
And I feel like I have to activate myself 2 times a day at the exact same time, and it works for me. And I feel like I was traveling and I didn't have my my hack kit with me, and I wasn't able to do it without it. And I tried to do my fingers. I'm like, this is not it. This is not working. I'm not getting it. And I was just it really impacted how my body felt. Then when I got home, I was able to use my tools, and I'm like, see, this is what I've been missing. I got to make sure I pack this next time I go. And
yeah, I mean, there's the wrapping up the certainty. But you know, it was interesting because, again, going and picking up my oat milk, about 2 weeks ago, I went for a surf where this place is. It's called the Commons, and it's down at Musenberg. And my shoulder was, my shoulder's giving me a problem. It's old injuries that are just niggling and don't want to quite go away. But and I kind of know why. But what was interesting is I went out, and about 20 minutes later, I came in and I was frustrated and pissed off. So I kind of took myself away just to sit and figure out what was going on. And then I came back to the same beach, and I went up to the Commons, and I'd said to them, do you mind if I use your open space? So it's like a yoga-y space. It's not like an open room, but they run yoga and qigong and different things in there. They said, yeah, sure, you can go in there, but one of our musicians, because it's also space for people to go, and artists and musicians. One of our musicians is in there. Can we just check if he's okay? So I did with the activation tool, because I actually needed to get into my iliacus, so inside my right hip. I needed to get inside to free my shoulder, because that's where the problem was coming from. And I hadn't, because I was thinking shoulder, 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 my brain sort of focusing on the shoulder, and it was never the shoulder. But what was so cool is I got to have this jazz trumpeter playing in the background while I was doing my activation, and I went out and I had a great surf after that. And actually it just took a bit of mindfulness, putting myself back in my body, and also this environment of different music. And when I bumped into him today coming in, and we always chuckle and chat about stuff, I thought, what will make me more consistent at activation is if I've got different music every time. Not the same music, different music. So it brings a different energy into what I'm doing. So it brings a difference, a variance. Whereas for you, we're going to say, pick a song, that's your song for the week or the month or the year, if you like, and play that song, if you like, in the background as part of your routine. And then it becomes an anchor. Right. So it becomes so if you don't have time to activate, you start singing the song in your head, and your body will connect a lot of more of the dots.
Very cool.
Whereas when, as much as I love a song, by the seventh day, I'm like going, God, I'm not going back into that room, because I don't want to hear that song again. Therefore, I won't activate. So for me, it would, if I'm going to put a background, I've got to do something that's different. In fact, it would be it would have to be random as well. I can't choose it. So, hey, Apple, let's shuffle. Let's let's shuffle and select something random. Today I want violin. Tomorrow I want like rock, and tomorrow and the day after it's going to be like gangster rap. I don't know, all the different things. So, and it's the constantly challenging and asking my system to be awake to what's coming in. But the minute it goes, oh, I know this one, it goes, I can sleep now. I just shut down.
That's right. That's cool. That's cool, man. Well, this is an interesting conversation, and I think it's a good one to have, because and what would be also interesting is to find out what changes from it. Like, when you're able to identify these things about you, what are you going to do? How are you going to leverage it? And I think, we could take some of this off the recording as we go into kind of some of the things that we're going to be working on moving forward. But what do you think? Like, what do you think the benefit?
I think the answer is, at this point, I actually don't know. And part of that is it's taken 3 weeks at least for me to quieten my mind enough to really become introspective properly. I've been doing a lot of different things to help me, and they weren't doing anything. And it was he even checked in with me today. A friend of mine, Grant, 2 weeks ago, we were at sort of group of men sitting talking about where things are at, and he was just going, dude, I've known you 15 years, and your mind, it's like, it's monkey mind. It's insane. I said, the problem is that I'm very good at connecting with stuff, but the thing about connecting it, hey, where's Tim at? Let's meet him there. And when I'm talking to a community, and when I'm thinking about all of this, I realize I'm connected and I'm not disconnected. And so it's amazing and it makes more and more noise, which means the more noise there is, the less you can hear yourself thinking, and the less you or I could actually say, what do I think? It's often what I've spoken about. When you go and learn a new program, or in fact, podcasts are pretty good. There was a while back, a couple of years ago, where I really started listening to a lot of Dave Asprey's bulletproof stuff, and all the experts thinking this, and on topics that I liked, going through. And I remember driving the one day and just thinking, wow, I can tell you, like a lot of people, I can go, oh, so-and-so thinks this and this one thinks that and da-da-da. And I realized that I'd listened to so many experts on topics that I'd actually drowned out my own voice. I'd lost sight of what Doug thought. And that's also, so sometimes you can listen to too much education and too much stuff and too much, lots of people have interesting things, but you've always got to be able to pull back and say, like, what does Doug think? Because that's the only person that I can bring to you. I can say, oh yes, and Lyle Watson said this, and that one said this, and the only reason I'm telling you is this makes me think that. And so each of those are influenced, but they are not what I think. I think they are things that have guided me into my thinking.
That's right. So, and I've had this conversation too with a brother of mine who, we're kind of on opposite ends of the what we think, like, for a lot of the things that are going on right now, and how these algorithms feed our current perspective. They don't expand our perspective. And I was wondering, okay, everything in my social media, or even the things that I look up online, they reinforce the stuff I already believe, and it make me think, yep, I knew it, I'm right, they got it wrong, I'm going to keep doing this, and everyone else is an idiot. Well, I wondered, I was like, what if I entrenched myself in the opposite side, in the opposite opinion, the one that I didn't agree with? What would then happen? Yeah. What would happen to my algorithm? Like the algorithm in social media that serves me these things.
Oh, nice.
What would it look like? Would it blend together? Would it start serving me more of the opinions I didn't agree with? What would come of it? I haven't done that experiment yet, but
oh, that's pretty cool. Well, it might also just like explode.
Yeah, it could blow up the internet. Right.
They're not designed to. Don't fight the system.
That's right.
No, but the interesting thing about that is true education is actually going and seeking people that don't agree with you and figuring out why they don't agree with you, because they're either a dumbass and they really don't know anything, or they have something that you haven't yet considered, right, which may make what you think better, and so it's, if nothing else, this algorithm makes us walk around going, hey man, I'm awesome because I'm always right, because every time I go and check on what I think, all the searches come back to say, yeah, yes,
that's right.
Spot on, baby.
Well, think about it too. It's like no one's the bad guy. No one's ever the villain, right? Your perspective, you are the good guy.
Oh, until you leave your room. In front of your screen, there's no one's the villain. Until you leave your room and you walk and you meet someone who's got their algorithm takes them to a different place. And now you believe you're right, and they believe they're right because it's in your system and it's physiologically wired, neurologically wired now. And then you go, what a friggin' idiot is this? What not a friggin' idiot is that? And then depending on how big a conflict it is, it actually can be a conflict. But instead of going, wow, that's interesting, how cool. Let's check where your algorithm took you and where your algorithm took you, and let's see if we can find commonality. Because if that were almost like, it's actually a conversation we had way back when it was about, some pretty nasty rioting going on, and it was like, how do you deal with it and all of this? And the answer that I gave was, can you lead with kindness? If you can lead with kindness. So imagine now instead of kindness, we lead with the knowledge that your algorithm took you to one place and my algorithm probably didn't take me to the same place.
That's right.
And so if that was what we led with, knowing that we have differences because of what we've been led to, we could actually go, this is awesome. So
that's right.
I'm actually looking for 5 people for a meetup. if you believe this, we don't want you because we've already got one of those.
But yeah.
What we're looking for is someone who believes this,
Yes.
and this, and we want to get together. And the only rule is no one's allowed to kill each other, but let's see how we got there.
Right.
Jeez, you'd come out with 5 supremely enlightened people.
Absolutely right. And you know, I forget who it was, but it was like a famous figure in American history. I think it was like Ben Franklin. Like they said he was like the master of negotiation. And what he would always do is he wouldn't challenge his opposition. What he would do is he would start by finding the point of commonality. And he'd start there, and basically the other person was instantly putty in his hands, and he was able to work through things. And the majority of the time he got exactly what he wanted. And it was because of that. Now he understood, it was obvious, he understood that that other person's algorithm took them to a point where they feel like they are in complete opposition. That's such a powerful.
So really what you just said in my head was you need to meet someone where they are at.
Yep.
You've got to find a point where we've got to find a point where you and I can meet, and from there we can expand. But if we don't find that point, and that's your client, and that's your, you know, you've got to find that point. When it doesn't matter what it is. Hell, you know, like I'm putting a whole lot of bungees together, and I went to go and get the bungee cord today. And the guy who was helping me was great. And we took all these reels outside and put them in my car. And as he's leaning over, he goes, "Whoa, those are amazing fins." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Where did you get those fins from?" Now, and they're called Scarfini fins for my surfboard. So they're the fins, the skegs. And suddenly I saw a totally different side of this guy, because now I definitely know he's a surfer. I definitely know the next time we have a different level of connection. What's interesting is the guy that I normally work with wasn't there. So, and this guy and I have never connected because we've never had something where we connected on. Now, I guarantee you we've got it. It's like his
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I hope you have good waves this weekend kind of thing. And like, yeah, I'm going, yeah, you go down to Lifestyle Surf Shop. They have the Scarfinis. They're great. They make a huge difference. And it's like, so we're not even close to bungee cords and ropes and D-rings and webbing. We're talking fins on a surfboard. But that would have been a common point. And if from there we can expand in 100 different directions, but without that.
That's why the story is important,
just,
right?
You know,
that's why the story is important.
Yeah. You know. So it's always a fascinating thing. It's that idea of I like that. Who do you say it was? Ben Franklin.
Ben Franklin. You've never heard of him?
See, we don't know your presidents.
This guy he wasn't, and that's the thing. He was never a president. He's the only non-president on our currency. He's on the $100 bill, and he was at the level of like a Winston Churchill type kind of figure. But Ben Franklin was just a top level politician.
Oh, that's so interesting. I would have sworn, you know, based upon his profile, his social media account, I would have thought he was president.
Well, see, Ben Franklin, they in sales, they call it the Ben Franklin close. And what you do then is when you're trying to sell someone something, you go through the pros and cons. You put the pros and cons of the purchasing a product next to each other. And that's what you use in order to get the person to buy what it is that you're selling. So, I mean, he's got a bunch of different strategies for everything. It's entirely psychological, but he was a master of it.
So master of the human nature, and
right.
You know, the better we get at nature, our nature first, because then I know that if I've identified my nature and I quickly identify that your nature and my nature are different, then if I come bounding along like a hyper energy, you know, little like puppy dog. You got to do this, you got to do that. You're just going to see people glaze over. I see it all the time. I see, we know we get excited by the work, and that may be your nature, but if your client's not doing that, good luck. Good luck. You've made the bridge between you further and further apart, which just means you have to work harder. Sure. And it's like, yeah, but I think for me, taking this, like somebody sent me a message about, can I see them and do some work with them? And I just sent something back saying, look, I'm still in hibernation. I'll be coming out of hibernation sometime this week, maybe, and I'll get hold of you when I'm out. And the thing is that it's so interesting because I need to put everything down to decide what I pick up, because often there's too much stuff that I'm carrying, and that's just in my nature. So, but I lost sight of my nature. So the harder I pushed, and kind of what I was saying to you before we started recording this is the all in, all out approach is really all up, all down. So it's like you can bring big energy knowing you're switching off, and it's kind of what I've been finding this year is gradually that range was getting less and less and less. And you talk about ticking something off and needing to fill it. When I tick something off, I want it to be ticked off. I can bugger off now. And you know that you get a lot of backlash from me because I've only just felt like I've sent you 50,000 things, and the next day you're going, Doug, I ain't got nothing for next week. I need this, and I'm just thinking, dude, I'm going to reach through this computer and kill you because I've just finished. And you're like, no, there's next week, and there's next week, and there's and it's like, for me, that's a hamster wheel.
That's right.
And it's like, geez, I can run fast, I can run slow. It makes no difference. I'm still on the damn hamster wheel.
Right.
Because, and I think the other side is also around the conversation of effectiveness. It's like, so it's and I use this when I work with fighters, and I always start off to say my fighting nature is I will only get into a fight if I know I can end it with one punch. Okay, one punch. If that doesn't sound like go big or go home, what it does mean is that when I demonstrate my one punch, they usually get hurt, and they might, they're tough, but that's the design. But if you want me to do 100 of those, well, my body immediately has to go, well, I can't put it all into that because there are 100 to go. So we have to slowly reduce so that it can manage to get to 100. Mm-hmm. And it's so like in projects, I like if I don't have the off, I also then struggle to find the creative Doug. The one, like when we moved home, what was it? Probably a year and a half ago, I literally sat with a grinder because that's what I do. And I destroyed a whole lot of ideas that have been sitting in my garage for years and years. And I just couldn't take that next step with it. The things like the bungee, I took the next step with it. The hack kit, I took this, but I had so much stuff. And I have stuff that I've got patents on, and if I haven't done it, I was just like, I actually can't take it to my next house, my new house, because otherwise I'm carrying that. And it's like, it becomes this constipated kind of feeling. And so why would you create something new if there's no space to put it? And I think also in that, for me, there's no space to do that. And it's kind of like, on Wednesday, I was with Werner to do like a closing of the round of training that we'd done. And, because I've been disinterested and shut down in so much stuff, I didn't do my training the way I was meant to. So I said, dude, when I'm ready, I'm coming back. We're going to do the proper 8 weeks. We're going to do this really good. Yes, we got results in it and they were nice, but they weren't great. They were nice. We don't do nice. Nice is boring. But I didn't put in the work. And but what was so interesting was I love his business, but I can also see all the gaps in his business in how they communicate, how they put things together, think like a report that gets sent that's far too complex. And so people won't read it. And I'm doing my session while analyzing and going, hey, have you looked at this? And da, 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 da. He's like, I think your brain's working, dude. I think, and so that's a good sign. I can feel it.
Yeah.
It's kicking in. You know, another good friend of mine, Gary, who used to be my sponsor from New Balance when I did the runners program. So Gary's got a surf shop down at Musenberg, and they're now moving to a new venue. And I walked in, you know, they're in the moving process and renovating right now. I walked in and I was like, oh, wow, Gary, you know that you need a big TV there because you're going to have that live camera feed to the beach. That'd be so cool. Someone can sit here. He's like, oh, geez, are you in marketing? I said, and this low ceiling, this is amazing. You need to put like hoops, and because the kids will just come and play, and with, you know, hell, I'll come play. And he's like, no, you really are back, because like, all these people know that I've been brain dead for a while now, and it's like because they know me, and it's like Doug, I think you're back. It's you know, go now. We're renovating, and you're coming and you're adding new ideas and things. I'm just going, no. If you're creating a space to play, these are things that would be important for me to want to come back to the space over and over to play, to make you unique. To make you unique. There's an opportunity here.
So that's a good sign.
So,
yeah.
You know, so I think I don't know what you and I are going to come up with, which will be a strategy that allows that, you know, the beautiful thing about, like, in the yin yang here is that because our natures are that different, they really can complement each other.
That's right.
And so we can make things work, you know, because that's what we want. You know, I'm always aware that, like, when I told you, I think it was about the 13th of December, hey, we're doing this hack program. This is what it's like. It's going to be run there, and we're launching tomorrow. And I just remember, like, having this, and your eyes like,
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was like, ah, Jesus,
trying not to show the panic.
That's exactly right. That's exactly how it went down. Yes.
Yeah, dude, we're standing on the edge of a 500-foot bridge, and I need you to jump with me. But Doug, are we bungee jumping? Are we, you know, what are we doing?
No, and you know what? It's I remember putting it together, and it was like right around Christmas time too. And I was like, you know, I've got clients buying, or that I'm doing, you know, Christmas promotions for, and now we're going to throw this in, and like, I need a month to figure this out. And, you know, it came together in like 4 days, which was beautiful. But, and I was very satisfied with the results. And I'm like, he figured it out. Like, what was nice is, you know, I panicked, but you were calm, and it worked. But, you know, that knowing your nature, that shouldn't have come as a surprise to me. And knowing my nature, it's like, listen, let's prepare for it, because it sounds like Doug is coming back online. Let's get ready, because there's going to be something that comes in your inbox, and we're going to have to figure out quick and get done. So thank you for the warning.
Well, you know what I was actually thinking? I was going to find a photo of footprints on the beach, and I was going to send it to you, going, "Hey, dude," and just leave it at that, and see. I'd get back to you in a couple of weeks, and see how the ship handles that.
Well, you know what's been interesting though is, when we first started, you put together a folder with a ton of assets for me to use, right? So that's what you were talking about, a ton of them. And there's still some stuff that hasn't been used yet. And I've been having to get creative and kind of dip into there and extract some of the things and reuse some stuff. And Bev has been very helpful with coming up with content. And we've also been using a lot of the stuff from
Thank you, Bev.
Yes, she's been wonderful. So, and we've also been able to utilize some content from the the other practitioners, that are within Be Activated. And there's been a lot of stuff. What's interesting is our interaction with everyone in our community has actually gone up during this kind of break that you've had, where it's kind of let me know that we don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. I don't need to have a home run from Doug once a week to keep this thing kind of going in the right direction. And it's beneficial for me to leverage the rest of the community, because now we have some great minds in there. Let's get everybody kind of working together.
Hang on. I feel a quote coming on. I'm gonna butcher it, because so instead of for the people, by the people, this is for the community, by the community.
That's right. That's right.
Ooh, I'm smelling freedom here. I'm out the door already.
Well, and I think that we could do a lot of this, but this also, knowing your nature and knowing that the community does rely on you for breakthroughs and new concepts, right? This gives us the time to kind of work within the things that you had put together for us already, and then gives you the time to do your necessary downtime and then explode with the things that you've been researching and working on and new concepts. And then, when you kind of go back into your hibernation, we can expand on these concepts together as a group. And it's actually a very cool system if we let it work that way.
Well, you see, I think that sounds good, because it is such a big thing of, like, I think, it's like remembering that Be Activated got developed when I'd burnt out and closed down practices, walked away from everything. And then I was doing other stuff. And then just before Amy and I got married, actually, I realized what I was doing, running these programs for doctors on electromagnetism, wasn't the game for me. It was a bridge. It was a little thing to keep me going, but it taught me that I can speak to anyone at any level. And but when I came back into my practice, and most amazing man, Alan Sakonovsky, and he had this health shop, and at the back of the health shop, behind his kitchen, there was this tiny little room, and I was there to talk to him about the electromagnetism, and he said, "I will listen to you if you help this lady." And I said, "No, I don't do that anymore." He says, "Listen, I know who you are. You help her, I'll listen to you." So the salesman went and helped this lady. She had tennis elbow. I did some stuff while she was sitting having her coffee, and we quickly sorted it out. They said, I just needed to affirm that.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Goodness, go to sleep. No, Siri shouldn't even be on my phone. But what was amazing was, he just said, like, you are who I know who you are. I had before I burnt out, there was quite a reputation of what was happening in my practice and practices. But he said to me, I've got a room at the back. It's tiny. You can fit a bed, one chair, maybe a half a desk, tiny desk. That's all it had. And I'll give it to you for free, rent free. But you have 2 weeks to make it work. And it was so amazing, because I was at this decision point in my life on this is not how I really want to go into a marriage, when I'm in something which is okay, but it's not my passion. And actually the world of healing was my passion. And I kind of came back to him the next day. I said, yes, okay, I'm in, because he got me on, go big or go home. He challenged me. So I went to go meet that. 2.5 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, half day, Friday, because I understood that I needed the time to figure out what didn't work the last time. And so the Tuesday, the Thursday, and the Friday afternoon was to go surfing. But actually Be Activated got developed in those days off. I was already doing stuff in my practice, but I hadn't needed to formulate it, because when I was busy, I was doing stuff, but I hadn't formulated and figured out why it was different, what I was doing. Having the time to do that allowed that creative space. So I'd be like sitting, drawing stuff and putting things together and experimenting. And, you know, Amy must have really been thinking, God, what have I got myself into? This guy is just odd, you know, like I'm like taping things to myself and I'm trying experiments. I'm going, yeah, check. And when I do this, like when I started, I could do 10 push-ups this way. And then I did this and I could do another 20. And then I did it the other way and I couldn't do any. And then I flicked it around again. Then I did this and I could do another 30. So I did 60 push-ups when actually my maximum today was 10. And she's like, that's nice, dear. You know, it's like, okay, whatever, you know, and it's like, it's that playing, and, you know, like that space to play, and then coming out of those spaces to go, hey, this is what I've found. What do you guys think? And the hack kit was all about that. When I first kind of found the activation tool, it was like, hey, this is cool. You know, and you know, as you know in the video, like I showed for the people who got the program, hey, here's some of the tools that I've got, and there were about 50 of them, and I said, that's not even half. You know, like I buy stuff around the world. I have tools and things. I try everything. This is the first one that made me go, huh, that's different for me. Hey, let me put in the bungee, and whoa, now the bungee's like supercharged. This is insane. Okay, that's something that I go, I want to share it. That's why it was not a, hey, yeah, let's do a 6 to 8 week marketing plan and get it out and do it properly, because it was like, no, the passion is now, the feeling is now. I'm sharing what's working for me. That's what I'm doing. I'm sharing an idea. I'm sharing something that can help people where they are, because it helped me, and it wasn't for any other reason than because it helped me. It made a big difference. And but it's the spaces for me, that the spaces allow me to find those things, and that's the work for me, is to actually create those spaces. I'm bad at scheduling. So I can't even go, I'm going to schedule space, because I will fill it with rubbish. But it's I've got to allow myself the space to do it. You know, I was talking to someone the other day about like my diary, and for those who I've traveled with, and they'll always laugh about this. Like, and Lily and Nika would always laugh. So, Doug, we're finishing a trip in Jakarta in Indonesia, and it's like, when can you come back? And I'll pull out my 2 pieces of paper. They go, what's that? Oh, it's my diary. It's 6 months and 6 months in columns. And they go, that's your diary. Yep, that's my diary. I just need to know what country I'm in at what point. And that is enough certainty and reference point for me. You know, for almost all the people that I work with, and the ones that I've stopped working with, are the ones that, and what do we need to do about this, and what about that? I don't care. Let me arrive. Let me bring myself. We'll figure it out. And then please let me leave. And anyone who's ever done a workshop with me, like especially like at the end of the day, okay, are we done? No more questions? Excellent. So the worst thing you can do, and there's always someone, at the end of the course, when we've already closed it, comes and goes, I've just got one more question. Now, I've already given you that chance. Right. I'm off now. You know, so that tomorrow I can pitch up and be on. But if you're going to ask that, then somebody else isn't. And then maybe we're going to go out to the pub and we'll go out for dinner. And then people are going to talk work. And like I always say to people, you're welcome to join us. But if you talk work, we'll ask you to leave. Because this is why the people I surround myself with, when I'm outside of the workshops, we don't talk work, because that would be stupid. Because where's the rest? Where's just the enjoyment of each other?
Right.
and that's where people have got to get better at that side of like, and like you found that having a schedule allows you to switch on, switch off at the rate you want to. You found something that matches your nature. Excellent. I've got to get better at that again within this new weird and wacky environment that we have. It's like people like one of Matt's friends, his dad said, have you got any plans to travel? And I was like, well, no, I can't, because all the destinations I want to travel are locked down. And that's not entirely true anymore. There are ways to do many things. But when my brain is like just going, screw you, I'm going to give you nothing. Well, that's the best answer I can give you. Like anything, there are ways. It's not everywhere is available, not everything's possible, but a lot more is possible than we think.
That's right.
So it's kind of, but like my creative brain had stopped solving those problems, because my creative brain it just left. It didn't go on holiday. It just left. It just said, dude, don't want to talk to you anymore. And that's not the place I want to be. So I think if I'm assuming we're going to put this out, hey, you had a conversation with Doug and this is where the crazy old man is at. And that, we barely had any communication for the month. You did damn well about,
it's surprisingly, right?
Yeah,
it didn't freak me out well, actually, I'll take that back. At first I was like, oh shit, okay, all right, how are we gonna do this? Doug has kind of gave me the keys, and now I gotta manage the property. It worked out. It worked out just fine, in fact, and it was good. You gave me some.
There was even a text conversation, I think, when I was kind of up surfing to go and see if that would find my space. And you were like, okay, cool, but could you send me a post for today and for tomorrow? Because the community really needs it. I was like, I think he's missing the point here. So the question was that I gave to you, is anyone going to die if there's no post? And the answer is absolutely not. Okay, then there's not a problem, is there? It's just different. And I think so often we've got to step back and ask that question, is it really a crisis? It's just different. And, for people who've been in this game with me for a long time, I'm trying to think when it was, about 2017-ish, around then, maybe 2018. I got Gatvol, which is, I've even got a t-shirt that says Gatvol, and one day we're going to do a competition on, actually we'll do it today. Everyone has got to who hears this, has to video themselves, and you've got to say Gatvol. Give us a Gatvol, Tim.
Gatvol. Gatvol?
Oh, you can do better than that. Gatvol. Gatvol is fed up enough. Just come on, please, enough now. And so, like, with all even the traveling, I was getting bored and frustrated, and my system wasn't enjoying it anymore. And I'd reached a point where I'd lost the why I was doing it. And as simple as that. So I kind of went, okay, once I've done these workshops, I'm out. And I took 9 months off and freaked a lot of people out. But that's okay, because nobody died. And if they did, we didn't hear about it, so it's okay. Or they would have died anyway. But interestingly, it was a conversation with Bev where she was asking if she could do something in Dublin, like just like a 3-hour workshop, and she was asking for permission to do that. And I kind of went, so do you think we could do are there enough people in Dublin? She said, oh yeah, there's so many people that want to do. I said, well, how about this date? And that's how we started again. And I realized when I was talking to her, I was excited by the thought of going back to teaching. And then we did Dublin, we did London, and both of them were full almost immediately. And they were, and then I got back into what I love. But I needed that break to kind of, process my own shit. And boy, is there a lot. And it's in that processing that we learn more. It's not in going and learning what somebody else says. No, it's going and you doing your own work. And it's you doing the struggle and the learning and the coming up against yourself. And then bringing it out and saying, hey, this is what I've been working with, and this is how I found an answer. Does that help you? Does that make sense to you? And, like, it's some of that people will go, yeah, no, that's just odd, and that doesn't at all, because so that's like a unique thing, that's just a weird Doug thing. But a lot of times they're patterns that when you understand the pattern, then you can, and this is what I'm good at. I'm good at seeing the pattern and then translating it back into a way we can look at it, that we can help more people with it. Mm-hmm. And that's the goal of the game, and but it's like, I hate the idea that I might ever step up in front, even have any conversation with you, and like, hey, Tim, yep, it's the Monday morning meeting again that you scheduled. Yeah, how are you doing? How was your weekend? I'm such a bad socializer. It's like, I really, really am. I'm a bad example for Matthew, because I don't want to talk shit with people. I don't care. I don't want to talk arbitrary. It's have meaning or nothing. But please don't waste my time. It's like, if you and I have this conversation, are we both a little better, just a little better, for having this conversation? And maybe it's not because we learned something deep and profound, but maybe we're both a bit happier because we've got to reconnect and say, hey, buddy, yeah, nice to see you. Yeah, nice to see you. Thank God you're coming back, kind of thing. Nope, not really. That's not what I said. But it's like, it's too many people who are just willing to fill the spaces to fill the space.
Right. So there has to be value.
That will be the challenge of your scheduling pattern. Is make sure that it's still adding value to where you're at.
Right. It's good, man.
So, yeah, I don't know what the next step is and how it will look, because it's the space inside me is clearer, but I haven't reached the point where I'm ready to fill that space.
Well, it sounds like to me, it's for me, I fill the spaces by I get inspiration by planning out in advance. When I'm active is when ideas will come to me about the next step. When you are not active, right? When you are able to be quiet, that's when those opportunities, like that's how you came up with the hack program, right? You were taking a little break and boom, you found something that you liked, you hooked onto it, and now I got to share this.
And it's interesting. Taking a break is such an interesting thing, because it's like, for me, when I'm always running from one thing to the next, I miss the things. And this is why, like, Cape Town is such a wonderful place to be, because our oceans are exceptional, our beaches are amazing, and they're all different directions. And so there are so many factors that tie into finding good surf. And you also have to be willing to drive because it's an extensive coastline. And the thing is that my old car, the one someone broke in because I'd left it open, and they took the radio. And it took 5 years before I put a radio in, because I realized that driving, going looking for waves in this beautiful environment without somebody telling me what to listen to was the space where what I needed to do was I got pretty effective at writing notes while driving. Because at that point you could talk into your phone, it would record, but now you can actually talk into your phone, it'll transcribe, not accurately, because I've done that too. And sometimes I've gone, what the hell was I thinking here? Because I don't know whatever it's transcribed is not at all what I was trying to say. And so this amazing idea that I knew I had, I couldn't even figure out my own hieroglyphics. But those were the spaces, and kind of allowing for the surprise. And I think that's the ocean always offers that variety and that surprise. And that also feeds into the nature of kind of, sometimes I've driven 2 hours and I found nothing. And I come home like, huh. And people, why would you do that? Well, the 2 hours wasn't wasted. It's beautiful time, because it's time with me to almost to figure out, what do I think? What do I feel? And what do I want to do? And without those spaces, I'm just hitting the next target that's in front of me. And kind of never actually charting where I want to go. Because I don't do the schedule and planning, where you're doing the overview and then diving in to do that. I don't do it as much. I have my 2 pieces of paper.
That's right.
Right. I think I printed out month by month now, but I'm not doing anything with it, because who knows what the month, happens each day. So
see, this is funny. So like, look at this. This is everything I have to do before I walk out of here today. There's 20 lines. I do this every day, and if I don't, there's a conflict within me. If I do it, my days are just, they operate. But that's my nature.
So you found your nature, and you found an optimal strategy to meet that nature.
That's right.
That allows you to be the best Tim you can be at this point.
Correct.
Which allows you to pitch up in work, it allows you to pitch up physically, allows you to pitch up for your family. What else is there?
Nothing. Yeah, at the moment.
Yeah.
And, well, this is, I think this conversation, I think this conversation has been great, especially for, as we share it, it's, people can kind of figure out where those conflicts are, and then meet themselves where they're at, right? That was kind of a theme here. But it's interesting, and it's,
well, if you have never considered what your nature is, and Amy had shown me that, like, Tony Robbins and a whole lot of people are having this big program starting in May. And one of the things that Tony Robbins always talks about is get a mentor, or like, which can be someone you actually get hold of, or it can be someone you're learning from, but there's a term, but you start to mirror their behavior. You look at how their path of success, and you do what they did, because success leaves clues is one of his lines. That great. Do they have your nature? Because if not, right. And this is and here's a simple thing that everybody forgets. Sorry, even Tony. If I've chosen someone that doesn't match my nature, I will not ever be successful. That's because right. It's not my nature. Because it's like it's like I'm pulling the wrong direction every time I do something. So I might be closer to who they are, but I'm further and further away from who I am.
That's right.
And all you're here to do on this planet is to manifest who you truly are.
Yes.
That's what you're here to do.
And even the goals you set.
Get closer to you.
What you think that person was successful at, and maybe it's because you like the results that you see. Well, you can't do that. You can't get those same results with your current nature, and you can't change your nature to match theirs. Right? So the best thing that you could do, you could still have those results, but you have to figure out how to do it within your own nature.
Yes, and so if you are going to find someone who's going to be that person who's been there before, they have to match your nature, because then it's easier to do. So that like Tim Ferriss, his 4-hour working week. I read that and I went, holy shit, brother, where have you been all my life? And because I was traveling, like probably about 8 to 10 international trips every year. And for people to understand, it doesn't mean I flew 2 hours. Like if I go to Europe, it's at least 12 hours, minimum, minimum, minimum. If I fly to Australia, to Indonesia, to US, it's 25 hours.
That's right. It's a day. It's a whole day.
When I
right?
say, no wonder I need time off. It's like these are big missions. Like, and
Yes.
I'm willing to do it because I love what I do. When I lose sight of loving what I do, then I don't want to do it, which is why I had taken that time off. But what I also was doing was I was also running a practice. So I literally would fly out on let's say from London. I'd fly out from London on a Sunday night. I'd arrive Monday morning. I'd have Monday off, and on Tuesday till Friday, I'd have a full practice. And eventually I was like going, nah, something's not working here. I don't know what it is. And so I was taking an intensity there to an intensity there to a next trip. And then I read 4-hour working week. And I was like, yeah, time off. I like that. And literally I moved where my practice was, and I moved it to a place where it was sessional rooms now. It was totally different. So I just stopped. It sounds so weird. People be so shocked. I just stopped answering my phone. I just made myself unavailable. And only people who really knew how to get to me got to me. And so maybe I would see, 20 clients. And then it became 10 clients. And then it became 2 clients. Because I realized that as much as I loved the one-on-one in that, it was actually taking away from my travel and my teaching. So I was bringing less energy to that because I had less off time. Yeah. So I created that, and I created that all on, all off. And it's like, Tony Holler did an interview with me. We're at Chris Corfist's house, and he did this. And I know that when people read that, so I hear you only work 3 months of the year. And when I read that, I was like, shit, I never answered that fully, because the answer was like smug little me. Yep, that's all I work, which was true. But it was, I should have explained why. And I should have explained, when I'm here in the US for 10 days, understand the effort it takes to get there and the effort it takes to get home. And there's a lot that goes into those things. And balancing it out and making it work and putting myself in a position where I can think and I can create and I can keep bringing new ideas. And, the thing is that what I was teaching in 2006, the foundations of that were amazing. I can't, and this is part of where Be Activated is going. That's just a little heads up. You don't even know what I'm talking about, but I have been talking to some people while I've been taking my hibernation. Like what I was teaching in 2006, the basic foundation is perfect. But if you want me for the next 16 years to teach that foundation the same, please, I'd shoot myself in an instant. And so I bring new, and I'm bringing that. And we maybe have to have a differentiation into this basic level of here's the physical body and how we work with it. And then when you get good at that, now we're going to start to add all the other crazy Doug shit.
Yeah.
Because that stuff is the base ingredient, and that's what works. And that's what we need to be almost conjuring up more of that. And I've realized that. And that's what is on my plan. Actually, I have a question for you and everybody else. That photo that I sent of the beach, did anybody see the Sphinx?
No.
Oh, you see, you guys just weren't looking. You need to go look at that, find that photo, have a look, and you will see a Sphinx. It's wonderful. And that headland is just created by the ocean. And I paddle out there and wonderful waves. And I sat out there, I was like, whoa, is this a portal to another world? Actually, had I known there was another wave round the corner, which I found out the next day, like insane wave, but I'd already broken myself there. So like that day I surfed so hard, I wasn't ready to go and take on a really hectic wave, but that would have been another transcended world that way around the corner. But you have to walk about 30, 40 minutes to get there. And if it's not working, then you walk 30 or 40 minutes back.
Jeez.
And I love that stuff. I love it. It's like, round the corner, round is the tide, right? And the simple thing, and this is the big thing, the joy that I have. And when it goes wrong and you're in the middle of nowhere, well, good luck. I hope you can, hope you know how to figure out a way to survive yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hey, let me, I'll pause the recording here.